Let's talk about milk spots. So, just a brief background on it. My understanding, it's something in the initial process of creating the planchets. They'll wash the blanks, and they use a detergent to really clean it off. And then I think they kind of heat it on there. Um, I don't think it's like a heat treat like a steel. Obviously, silver doesn't need to be tempered, I don't think. But for whatever reason, I think they're trying to like bake off. And it's almost cooked on. That's my understanding. They're like baking on little bits of detergent residue from the rinsing process when they're cleaning the blanks. And it's really crazy because, man's created coins for thousands of years, and all of a sudden we've created this new issue that's kind of wrecking the coinage. In my mind, I don't think this was a common problem in the last 1,000 years, having milk spots on your silver coin. So it's a little bewildering, and also that almost every mint does it. Some are worse than others. So for a long time, the Canadian maples were one of the worst perpetrators. The Royal Mint, excuse me, out of England, they've had problems, as well as the Australian, the Perth Mint. Now, it's like they know what the problem is because the Perth Mint, when they're making like a nice proof coin, those always come out flawless. And that same can be said for most of the mints. The U.S. Mint, they're usually pretty good on the American Silver Eagles, but when you're talking about like a proof coin, it's very rare that it'll have any sort of milk spotting on it. Now, one of the big things, the Royal Canadian Mint, they did seem to fix the problem, and that it's really been a home run for them. It was around 2018 they seemed to have nipped it in the bud, came out with they call it the Mint Shield technology, but let's face it, I think they're not washing the blanks the same way with the same detergent. It's really incredible. But anyways, so what can you do if you get a milk spotted coin? Well, usually it doesn't come off. Now, what I should have brought out, sometimes on a coin you can get a little bit of toning or a patina. Now those, without scrubbing it, you can put it in boiling water with the tin foil and the baking soda, or you could use like a coin dip. See, this is like a patina issue, and let's say maybe you get some ugly discoloration. Maybe you could dip it. Now, that won't fix milk spots. So let's look at a couple milk spotted coins here. This one's really bad. And you can see I put it in this little capsule because, probably that wasn't showing up when I first looked at it. So sometimes, a little after you get it, the milk spots will develop. Same thing. Sometimes people will get a coin graded, and it gets, encapsulated, and the milk spots show up later. It can be detracting to the appearance and the aesthetic, but some people jokingly say it's just kind of a security feature. It shows the authenticity of the coin. This one's not too bad. I think there's a little bit on the reverse. It's obviously just a silver round. It almost looks like a fingerprint on there. So sometimes, if you're touching it up with your fingers, it'll show a little bit of what appears to be milk spotting, but cases vary from coin to coin, example to example. This one's got some bad milk spots on it. This side looks okay, the other side just has a little bit. And again, this is just some things I noticed. I was looking at a couple coins the other day. Oop. I don't know how bad this one's milk spotted. I think there's a little bit of milk spotting on this side. This one's not too bad though. So, what can you do about it? Well, not much. But one thing I found, I ordered this a long time ago, and they call it a jeweler's cloth. or like a jeweler's rag. I got it on eBay, I think, for probably a couple bucks. And it's like a two-sided cloth, so it's got like a fine, I guess it's probably like a cotton, fine cotton on one side, and then on the other side, it's got like a red application, and it's not greasy or anything, but I think there's like a little bit of jeweler's rouge maybe impregnated on the red side. So you're supposed to kind of lightly polish it with this side. And this is actually for like cleaning silver, supposedly. You could use it for cleaning tarnish on like silverware maybe. And then this side is like, the finishing side, but you can probably use like any fine cotton. Now the only thing, you wouldn't do this with like a rare, 1880 Carson City Morgan dollar. Anything numismatic, don't do it. Because it's still going to leave micro scratches, but it's not going to be like if you took a Brillo pad with silver polish, and that we all know those coins look absolutely horrid. Now, one thing I've noticed, sometimes you get better results just depending on the finish of the coin. If the coin has more of like a higher polish, like an older maple, or sometimes in the Philharmonics, in my experience, those you might get better results. Now, if you're doing like an American Silver Eagle, something with more of a matte finish, maybe a Krugerrand, it may not come off. So actually this one, we can try it out. It may improve the appearance of the coin, but you may not get it completely off. Whereas if it was like a Philharmonic or a polished coin, you may get it off completely. So let's start with this one. It's just a silver round. Let's see if it's got a weird little capsule that it's in. Oop. And I think it's tucked in the... I might even fail at getting it out of here, huh? Let's see. Figure it out without totally ruining this little thing. There you go. There. Alright. Alright. There we go. I'm going to wear a glove, just so I don't smudge it up or add more fingerprints to it. Yeah, let's just see what happens. So, I'm not guaranteeing results, but I've found sometimes it does work. Alright, let's see here. So here's the bar. It's just got some, it looks like a little bit of milk spotting, some discoloration on the sides. And yeah, it's kind of ugly, it's certain angles. This side, a little bit too. Just a little milky on the polished edges. I think you can see that. So, let's just see what happens here. And you wouldn't really do this if, you bought 200 rounds and they're all milk spotted and it's buffalo rounds, because, that's kind of a waste of time. And this is more, if there's one really nice coin and you just like it, and it just looks rather ugly, you put a little elbow grease on it, and most people wouldn't notice that it's been cleaned. It's really almost like coin conservation, because I know they do have people who conserve coins, and if you have kind of an ugly coin and you want to get it graded, you can send it in for conservation. Yeah, they've got to be doing like a similar thing. Obviously, they're being much more careful with it. Maybe they're putting it in like a sonic bath. They're not really, scratching it. But yeah, we'll call it coin conservation. But like I said, don't try to do this with any coin of high value. So we're getting a little bit of results so far. And actually, we'll compare one side versus the other. It's not perfect, but I think we're making a little progress on that milk spot on this side. And I'll hit it with this more refined cloth, slightly. And alright, we'll check it out here. Alright, what do we think? See my head. But, yeah, it's pretty shiny like a mirror. Now you can already sort of see that the left side, which I didn't clean, it's still a little more visible, I think, at most angles. You can kind of see that. So the right side, which I hit with that cloth, it's already looking a little cleaner. And you don't really see a ton of micro scratches for the most part. So it's kind of a very gentle cloth. Obviously you don't want to drop into a pile of sand and be rubbing that, but let's just hit it for another minute here. And this is really something. If let's face it, a lot of us are coin nerds, and sometimes you see a nice silver round you really like, and you might buy a couple on a website, and they get shipped, you get it in the mail, and oh gosh, there's milk spots on it. Well, sometimes you can just gently take it off so that when you put it back in your treasure stack, it looks a little bit nicer. And heck, you might not even notice that it had a milk spot. So, again, you have to be careful on it. Want to make sure you're not scratching it with any sharp abrasives. But I think, I'm just kind of looking at it. Looks like it did quite a bit to remove it where we've rubbed it. We'll take another look here. So I'd be happy with that, and I was mainly working on the upper right corner. But I mean, even like at this angle, like in the shadow, you can see that left part, you can still see the milk spotting right there. On the left side, you can see the milk spotting, and on the right, where I was working on it, you can't. And then, are there a lot of scratches on it? Probably not. Or like I said, they'd be very, can't even focus, but they'd be very fine if there was any scratching. So, and that's my experience. Usually if it's a highly polished finish, they'll come off a bit easier. But let's see what else we got here. I think I remember ordering this one a while back, a couple years ago. Now this side looks okay, it seems. Well, actually it's got a little milk spotting there, but not too bad. Well, yeah, maybe kind of bad, but this side it was, I think, more noticeable. Okay, yeah, so on that right side, you can see a little bit of milk spotting there. Oop, come on, focus. And you can see a little bit of a fingerprint, I think, so that's why, yeah, sometimes fingerprints can do this too, but let's see if it'll come off here. Oop. And it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, trying to look over the camera. And when you got a really intricate pattern with a lot of letters on it. Kind of hard to get in all the cracks and crevices, just depending on what kind of milk spot you're dealing with. So it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's not a, what's the word, panacea? But sometimes it works. Just gotta be careful with what you're doing. And of course, most people would say, a bullion coin, it doesn't really matter, and yeah, that's true. But all of this is part of numismatica, I would say, and a lot of us, like myself, you almost start collecting the different rounds. And at the end of the day, if you've pretty cleanly removed the milk spot, I think overall you've improved the eye appeal of the coin. So this one's actually, it looks like it's getting a little better here. And I like to sometimes kind of fold it up, get a little more cushiony application, but different approaches, sure. And again, this is just what I've seen in my experience using it. This is going to be finer than like if you put it under the sink with a sponge and soap. Yeah, maybe you could scrub off a certain milk spot with a sponge you get from the grocery store, but you're probably going to scratch the coin a lot more. And you might leave some micro scratches here, but it's not as bad. This is just part of the territory, it seems, with silver. You get tarnished if you leave it out in the open atmosphere, or if the minting company is dumb enough to wash the blanks with soapy water and certain harmful detergents and then decide to bake it onto the coin, you might get milk spots, which are incredibly easy to avoid if they didn't go to all that trouble. They add the milk spots, but what are you going to do? Alright, actually I think that worked. So, it's not perfect, and this one's a little more difficult just because it's got certain crevices there. Now, I might have scratched it just a tad on that little section there, but just barely, and I didn't really look at it too close before. That scratch might have been on the coin already. It might not even be a scratch. I don't know. I have to look at it again. And again, I'm doing this trying to look over the top of my camera, so I can't really see it all quite as clear. There's some little corners and cracks and crevices on this particular coin design with the writing in there. But I think yeah, it definitely removed a lot of that milk spot. What do you think? Is it improved? Did we make it better, or did we make it worse? I'll tell you, some of the silver is hard to focus on. But yeah, because it was in that right-hand corner, I think you can see. I was mainly working in, this corner right here. So it would have worked. Like I said, you put in a little elbow grease. Let's just look at this one because we're already at 20 minutes. I think it'll work good on this one. It's only got a little bit of milk spotting. I think that'll come off. But the Krugerrand is the one I think. Now sometimes it will fix a Krugerrand, and the different years of Krugerrand, they do have slightly different finishes on the polish. Like sometimes they look very matte, which I like. Sometimes they look a little more, the earlier ones I think had a little more polish on the dies. And of course they kind of vary on the milk spots. Sometimes they don't have any milk spots and they're fine, and I really like the design on this coin too. But yeah, sometimes they're a little more spotted. So this side looks pretty good. 2020, it's just got a little milk spot there, nothing too bad. But here, this is pretty bad. Pretty bad. So let's hit it. See if we can't fix it up a little bit. It's easier to do when it's not behind the camera. You're leaning over, can't even see what you're working on. But I think it might have to do with this being more of a matte finish. The detergents, they might get baked in those fine pores on a molecular level a little bit more. And that's just common sense. It's almost like a knife, if it has a really polished finish on the metal, it's not going to rust as easily, because the harmful corrosive agents can't really get into the pores, I guess. Let's give it a minute. I'll work on this side here. And I'm sure I'll leave a couple scratches, probably little ones, but just depends. So just an update, I did order some silver a couple weeks ago, Black Friday. So probably going to do a little unboxing on that coming up shortly. Supposed to arrive in the next day or so. Let's do an update. Found some cheap silver. Well, cheapish. Really, prices, pretty much as low as we've seen the last couple of years. So definitely not buying American Silver Eagles with the prices we've seen on those lately. I'm interested for the new Chucky or King Charles coins coming out. That'll be exciting on the Canadian and British and Australian coins. Well, hard to say. I'm looking at it here. We might be getting a little progress on that milk spot. Let's give it another minute. And we'll grade it. like I said, usually you'll get better results on Maple Leafs, Philharmonics. Yeah, sometimes if it's just like a little milk spot, it'll take it right off on a different coin too, so it just depends. Or if it's more like a fingerprint milk spot, it might come off more easily. Alright, we'll hit it with this side. I'm really trying to give it the best opportunity, but yeah, I don't think this coin was ever going to come out perfect. Alright, let's see what happened here. Oop. So, I was working mainly on the bottom right, so mainly around like here to here. It probably had some effect, but not a ton of difference. I think you can see on like the bottom half of the coin, it's a little lighter than on the top part above his head. I didn't really work on the part up here in the top. So, yeah, results may vary. Again, this is the one we did first. This is kind of like a light sort of milk spot, but you can see where I worked on here on the right came off. And then it didn't really, well, I didn't clean that part. I know it's half an hour video. I was going to take this one out, so you guys are probably, if you haven't changed the station yet, well, thank you, and congratulations. Afraid you didn't win anything, but you've got to watch the experiment a little farther. I'm gonna hit this one. So I think this one is a good contender. You can see, obviously it's got like a good polish on it, but right in that lower right, we'll just hit a little bit. Now with the design, you got a lot of little crevices, but I think the cloth should reach in there. Probably getting sick the way my hands are shaking. Just adding a little motion sickness, nothing too bad to worry about. Alright, we'll hit it with the other side. Oh yeah, I think it worked. Alright, let's see here. So, the milk spotting was primarily in like this vicinity, on the top left sort of. And yeah, I would say came out better. Still a little remnant, but with a little more elbow grease. I don't really think I scratched it. There's a little hairline scratch there, but that was already on it, I think. So, thumbs up. Yeah, just a little trick. Yeah, check out eBay. Find a little jeweler's cloth. I've used that a fair amount. And like I said, sometimes it'll really save a coin. But just a little trick, or a little tip. And we'll catch you on the next one. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.